From Lalate News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on Lalate.
It's a big midday here on LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In this recording, we go over the breaking details about that recon passed. $3.5 trillion recon passing. Cluster number 1, 2, and 3's checks got in there. And then we cut to an exclusive brewing today, as the number one guy for your recon is now relying upon you and this channel and your advocacy to get the recon over the finish line. It's a transformative, history-making event, and I want you part of it, and you can be and have already been part of this history. We'll go over all the incredible details of what's unfolding live from Santa Monica at noontime. Then we'll be cutting to cluster number 2's checks passed, cluster number 3's checks passed, and of course, cluster number 1. We'll be going over those IRS stimulus checks that the Democrats still say they're putting it in there. We'll be cutting over the third stimulus with additional cash infusion for rent and utilities and food and internet. We'll be cutting over what the president did to protect your recon once, twice, and 3 times this last week, and what he's doing this week as well. It's a big week ahead of us. And then we'll be cutting back to that exclusive as the number one leader for the recon says Lalate and Lalate's viewers will help get that recon over the finish line. Wow, it's a big breaking exclusive, and you can hear it for the first time at noontime, starting right here on Lalate. Hey, good noontime, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day across the globe. Hope the weather is good where you are. It got hot here yesterday. Oh, brutally hot, like in the 80s, almost 90s near the beach. Don't know what happened. It's sort of mercurial at the moment, but hope the weather is good where you are. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021, so much breaking news. We'll go over cluster number 1, 2, and 3 pass, because your recon passes a House subcommittee a week ago. I'll go over all the incredible details at noontime. Then we'll be cutting to the big exciting details as the inclusion of that IRS stimulus check got further assurances this week from no less than Chuck Schumer's office. Wow. Bernie Sanders' office 3 times as well. Then we'll be cutting over to third stimulus. We'll be cutting over to what the president said about protecting the recon, not once, twice, but 3 times. What he said yesterday. You're hearing this for the first time at noontime. And then we'll go over that big exclusive brewing. You're going to hear it all throughout today and also this week. As the number one legislator for the recon says, he's keeping track of the Lalate viewers' advocacy, and he's going to use it to get that recon over the finish line. Wow. This is Lalate, America's only 24-hour a day, 7 days a week financial news channel, so subscribe. I want you part of this incredible family. A week ago yesterday, your $3.5 trillion recon passed a House Budget Subcommittee. I immediately delivered the breaking news, and all weekend long continued to detail what happened. Broadcast media never covered it. Print media never even knew about it. YouTube channels didn't even know it existed. Well, that's why I want to be part of this incredible family where detail is delivered on the hour, by the hour, about everything that's happening. Like the video and consider becoming a member. Let's cut to that incredible recon passing last weekend. First, I'm going to go over the clusters. First cluster passed. We'll go over the second. We'll go over the third. We'll go over the IRS stimulus check provision that the Democrats still say they're adding in there. We'll be going over what the president did to protect the recon 3 times this week. And then we'll go over that exclusive brewing with this channel and the Democratic leadership. Then we'll be cutting to a third stimulus. We got a lot coming up, so stay in the final 15 minutes of the video, and let's cut to the first cluster. Passed. Hazard pay. Money for seniors, children, MSCs of $52,000, bikes, cars, trucks, home repairs, and grants for college students. Let's cut to let's go over all of them right now with the first cluster pass of the recon. Hazard pay got in there. The earned income tax credit will be made a lifetime with a change to the old tax code. and broadening the eligibility so more essential workers qualify for it and a bigger payout. There's a big win for this channel. Single biggest place for advocacy for hazard pay in 2020, with me making nearly 300 videos every day on the day about hazard pay. Then they got up to $4,000 a year to care for the elderly. Huge. Big money. Then up to $4,000 a year to care for a young child. They got grants in there for college students directly to the university, to the student, and then also the Pell's grant made tax-free. And then they got $51,000 of monthly stimulus checks in their MSC. This is the CTC, broadening the eligibility so now non-biological parents qualify as well, and then increasing the payout, about $300 every month, every year for up to 18 years that the household is a low-income family household. Wow. Then they got money in there to repair the home if the home is a low-income community. Great, free money. Then they got in there monies for cars, trucks, and bikes if electric and U.S. auto manufactured. First, a new electric bike, up to 15% for the purchase price, paid for by the federal government. New electric car, $7,500 if it's for personal use. A little bit more for business use, and also for an electric truck. Wow. In a second, we'll go over the second cluster pass, third cluster pass, and those IRS stimulus checks they represent they're putting in there. But first, let's take a detour over to the third stimulus. This is huge. An additional $13 billion going out to your cities, counties, and states for rent and utilities under third stimulus. Treasury made this statement, and if you remember this channel, you have that statement in the nightly newsletter. Treasury is happy to provide these states and local governments with these additional resources to help Americans in time of need. Stay in the final 15 minutes of this video. I'm going to go over how you get this big money. Time for a second cluster of checks to get, and we're going to get some paid family leave and paid medical leave. Remember, forced stimulus has nothing to do with COVID. It's paid across all states, and it has nothing to do with COVID, and it's really wonderful. All right, paid family leave, paid medical leave. This is a lot of money. Under third stimulus was $1,700 a week. $1,700 a week. If you make $70,000 or more per year, split in half. $35,000 annual salary, $800 a week. Split in half. $15,000 annual salary, $400 a week. Paid family leave, you have to stay at home because your wife is pregnant. Paid medical leave, you have to stay at home because your child broke his leg. Let's go over some of the other checks in this second cluster, their deliciousness. Checks for childcare programs, checks for household tax credits, checks for seniors alike, checks for dental, vision, hearing care, and Medicare eligibility checks. Then, checks to weatherize the home. Wow, we need to weatherize the home, especially if the moderate Democrats are on the roof. As I always say, keep the moderate Democrats out of the house. Nancy, lock the door. Then they got checks in there for pre-kindergarten, free. And then tuition-free community college. Definitely needed when you're taking that very popular class called What the World is Lalate Saying? 101. I don't understand him. They just talk that foreign language out in Los Angeles. Now you can take that foreign language. It's called Los Angeles. Then they got green energy checks. Hopefully they have good energy checks in there as well. In a second, we'll go over the third cluster and those IRS checks as well. But now let's take a detour to what is Congress doing? Well, the president gave us 1, 2, 3 wins last week. Because remember, I started the week saying, I don't really care if the roads and bridges passes or not. If it passes, fine. I mean, it doesn't impact our recon. But I said if it doesn't pass, it really helps the recon and the progressives. Well, it couldn't pass on Thursday. It couldn't pass on Friday. And then Friday afternoon, the president said, I'm never calling the vote on the recon until you agree upon the roads. I'm not ever calling the vote on the roads and bridges unless we have an agreement on the recon. I hope I said that right. The roads and bridges did not go for a vote on Thursday, did not go for a vote on Friday, and the president said the roads and bridges will never go for a vote unless you agree upon the recon. Wow. There you go. Time for the third cluster of checks, and these are great. These are the president's checks. I like them. These checks have big savings to the American people. Free school meals for all checks, tax break checks, cheaper prescription medication checks, checks for free internet, checks for farmers, checks for clean energy, checks for workers like independent contractors, and checks for Medicare expansions like checks for dental, checks for vision, checks for hearing care, and checks for lowering eligibility age for Medicare. Well, 2 of the checks in this third cluster the president likes, I like, because they're instant savings to you. The first check is cheaper prescription medication. Yes, so let's say you go to the pharmacist and say, Mr. Pharmacist, I have a headache. I want to get I need help with that. And he turns to you and says, oh, you've been listening to the moderate Democrats. Yeah, I need help with that. You need a prescription? No, I need... I need help with that. Vote them out. No, I need a prescription for it. Okay. Well, here's the prescription. Take two $20 bills out of your wallet, and that pays for the prescription. Then, after this becomes law, if the moderate Democrats are still giving you a bad headache, because they're still there, unfortunately, then when you go to refill the prescription, you only have to take one $20 bill out of your wallet. Then they're going to give free internet. Free internet. Cities, counties, states, red, blue, rich, poor, offering free internet. The federal government is going to give the cities big money so they can offer a free internet to you. All you have to do is connect to the Wi-Fi. Ask for the username and password. What's the username? It's DC Reese. What's the password? The password is Goth Gang. Go away. Wow. In a second, we're going to go over all the dramatics of what unfolded with the president and the Goth Gang. We'll go over that big exclusive you're hearing only on this channel, as now you and this channel is pivotal for the passage of the recon. But first, let's go over those IRS stimulus checks. Wow, this week, Sanders' office confirming to 3 different viewers who advocate for the inclusion of a monthly stimulus check. It's going in there. And Chuck Schumer's office telling Donnie's wife on Wednesday he will be inserting that IRS stimulus check provision. This is huge. Remember, it was 2 Saturdays ago when the House subcommittee, led by that vice chair of the Progressive Caucus, Sheila Jackson, said that the package has now been passed. But it's not a bill. It's a work in progress, said Pelosi that night, and the president, and said that this week as well. I sort of like to refer to it as sort of like an envelope, like a recon bill envelope. And Pelosi said if you want to add more stuff in there, you can add more stuff in there. And that's in fact what Pelosi told viewers of the channel before that weekend, that she will be adding that provision in there. Since that weekend, now Sanders' office several times, AOC Omar and Jayalapal, and now Schumer's office as well, confirming that they will still be adding it in there. We got a lot coming up in the second half of this video. We'll be going over the big exclusive of what's going on with this channel, these videos, and you and the Raycon. Wow. You can't wait to hear that exclusive. Then we'll be cutting back to that IRS stimulus check. We'll be going over what happened with the president. We're protecting the recon 3 times and what he said yesterday and what he'll be saying this week. And then we'll be cutting back over to third stimulus. We got a lot coming up, and it's just getting started. Here first is a little bit about the community page. I'll see you in 60 seconds as Noontime LA continues with that big exclusive. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join Lalate Daily for the excitement of the new Lalate live daily. The excitement starts on mornings Lalate at 9 a.m. Home Lalate returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons Lalate at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on Lalate. And the excitement continues right now at noontime Lalate, live from Santa Monica. It's a beautiful day. Hopefully it doesn't heat up. Jump in the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from and how the weather is. In the second half of this video, we go over that big, exciting details as Democratic leaders tell the viewers of this channel they're inserting that IRS stimulus check provision in there. We'll go over all the dramatics that unfolded in Congress with that meeting with the president for that inclusion of that recon and roads and bridges at the same time. What did the president say and what happened? What's going on yesterday and what will happen this week for the recon as well. All the president's messages and the reactions and my reactions. Then we cut to the big exciting details of third stimulus, and then of course that big exclusive as a major player of the recon says you are pivotal of getting it over the finish line. It's all coming up, and with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this channel, and this was the channel that got a second stimulus check for Americans. I came up with the idea of CR for stimulus, putting a stimulus check in the second stimulus in the CR, the continuing resolution in December of last year. People thought I was crazy. I came up with the idea, and I said, put it in there, advocate. And that happened. Well, guess what? The advocacy is doing it again. And I'll have all those details coming up in just a second. But first, subscribe, like the video, and consider becoming a member. And here we go with it right now. It was 8 weeks ago when I told viewers this channel to advocate for inclusion of a monthly stimulus check. And WR started the process. And when it got to Brother Joshua calling Bernie Sanders' office told Bernie Sanders, I want to hear from the American people to ensure that you have his support for doing this type of stimulus. I said, pick up the phone and tell your story. What is unique to your situation? Why you need a particular item. Everyone has a unique story to the situation. And I told you to flood the phone offices from Sanders, Schumer, Casey, Coons, Warren, and then over to the House side, AOC Omar, Jalapal, and Pelosi, advocating for why you need it. And at the time, I said, if you do that, they're going to talk about it. They're going to say, are you getting those phone calls from LA viewers? Yeah, I am. Are you getting the phone calls from LA viewers? Yeah, I am. They're all saying, we want this money. Well, guess what? Here's the world exclusive. A viewer of this channel in a discussion with a top aide in Bernie Sanders' D.C. office confirms that Sanders' D.C. office is logging your emails, your voice messages, and your calls advocating for stimulus. All the incredible stories of why you need it. And is logging them to use them, to show them to the moderate Democrats who push back and say, I don't know if Americans really want this stuff. To say, yeah, they do want this stuff. Here's the proof. Lalate's viewers. Our phone lines are being clogged up by thousands of Lalate's viewers calling in saying, we want it. And here's the proof. And this is why you need to do the recon. With a platform that has the biggest presence on YouTube, biggest presence on social media, and biggest presence to deliver the message, you have been able to deliver the message. As I said to you, if I pick up the phone and call, they're going to talk amongst themselves. And boy, are they talking amongst themselves. They report in this top aide to a viewer of this channel that the offices have been talking about Lalate's viewers and your advocacy. And now, with the pushback coming from those moderates that aren't particularly necessarily on board with the recon, now the progressives are using all your incredible input and advocacy to give to the moderates and say, hey, and give it to the president as well, and say, hey, look at what we're getting. This is the proof of why we need to do it. If you're listening, and you're especially one of those people who have advocated, make sure, if you are from the state of West Virginia or Arizona, to keep on advocating by specifically indicating you're an LA viewer and from Arizona and West Virginia, because this is part of the equation. They need to hear the advocacy is coming everywhere. One of the reasons why the advocacy has worked is because this is a news channel. This is not a political channel. This channel has Republican viewers advocating for a recon. This has a channel that has Democratic viewers advocating for a recon. People in red states advocating for a recon. People in blue states advocating for a recon. And so when Sanders' office gets a phone call from Texas or Florida viewers saying, I need a recon, It's proof that people in red states are asking for recon as well. But you need to also do it if you're especially in Arizona and West Virginia, Kristen Sinema, and, of course, Joe Manchin State. It's consistent with a message that came in on Friday from Ben Tolchin, who's a Democratic pollster who previously worked for Bernie Sanders. He was quoted saying the following in press: "I was hoping that Biden would learn from the lessons of Obama, which is you have to fight for these things. You can't just negotiate with Kristen Sinema. You have to go to war. That's what it's like. It's like you have to travel to the senator's home state of West Virginia, Arizona, and deliver a message to the residents. You all support this, so tell the senator to support it too." So if you're in Arizona and you're in West Virginia and you support this recon, then make the message clear. And if you're in a red state, then make the message clear you support it as well. Pick up that phone and call Sanders, Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, Bob Casey, Ron Wyden, and then over on the House side, Jalapal, who's the chair of the Democratic Progressive Caucus in the House, her vice chair, Sheila Jackson, AOC Omar, all progressives, and Nancy Pelosi, advocating, saying, I need it because of this. I need it because of that. Let's go over now to that stimulus check, and let's get over how we got to this point. It was 8 weeks ago that I said to viewers, pick up the phone and advocate. Pick up the phone and advocate to the senators. WR did. He picked up the phone and called Senator Chris Coons, Coons, Democrat, Delaware, Joe Biden's old confidant, and advocated for himself, his family, for a stimulus check provision. And Coons' office said, yes, I'm putting that stimulus check provision in there. And then 3 weeks ago, you saw how this channel really picked up speed quickly, very quickly overnight changed. I was delivering a lot of exclusives. I was delivering breaking news on the hour about all the developments, about everything that's changing. Videos were changing on the hour by the hour on this channel. The exclusives I reported at the time: one, that the House would be writing up the legislation subcommittee, now true. That the House would vote first, now true. That the Senate would vote second, now true. And I reported that Bernie Sanders was important in the equation. He's the guy that got the $3.5 trillion price tag. He negotiated for that price. He got it. He's the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee. And that 3 weeks ago, he made a very fascinating comment to press. He said, unlike Senate Budget Chairman before I like to get out amongst the people when doing a budget bill. I said, listen to those keywords. He wants to hear from you. He wants you to advocate. I said, pick up the phone and advocate. And Brother Joshua did. Lynn Glenn did. Margaret did. What is advocacy? What does it look like? If you're new to this channel, let me show you what advocacy looks like. Advocacy involves telling your personal story of why you need something. Everyone has a unique story, and that's why everyone can relate to a unique story. I need it because this is what's going on with my family, my sister, my brother, my uncle, my town, my church, my community. I need to tell you why this is unique to me and why I need it. And people can resonate to a unique story. Here's an example, two examples that came in the last few days. Here's one viewer who said that you're going to see screen grabs from messages in either private message on social media or comments on the channel. One person wrote, I had 10 surgeries during the pandemic. I'm raising 2 teenage daughters on SSI and STI. That's not enough. In one of the live chats, Margaret wrote, honestly, the woman and I on the phone from the Senate office started crying when I explained everything I'd been through. That's what Brother Joshua did. He did that 3 weeks ago, picked up the phone and advocated for himself, for the channel, for the family, for his church. Brother Joshua's 2020 volunteer, the community page, who got people thousands and thousands of dollars for rent and utilities during the thick of the pandemic. And he advocated to Sanders' staff for the inclusion of that monthly stimulus check. And they said yes. $1,000 to $1,400, 3 to 6 months. And yes, again, at that time, they said, but we need to hear from you. Every video I've made over the last 3 weeks, I always include that line that Sanders' office said, they need to hear from you. Now we know the significance of why they needed to hear from you. And the first person after Brother Joshua, of course, was Donnie. You met Donnie's wife early in this video. Well, Donnie was the next person across the board to make that call. And let's see what Donnie wrote when he made that call to Sanders' office. Donnie writes the following about his message in the comments to this channel. I called Bernie Sanders and the secretary said they're doing a forced stimulus check. I told them this is what my city needs. I need it. I need to progress for my water and everything. And they said, okay, they're doing a forced stimulus check. Hurricane Tina writing the following. I called Bernie Sanders' office. I got through and they said they're putting a forced stimulus check in there. Carolyn advocating to Sanders' office. And she writes the following. People are losing their homes, they're losing what they got, and Bernie's putting a forced stimulus check in there. The advocacy continued day in, day out. Yaya picking up the phone and advocating to Ron Wyden's office, and Ron Wyden's office saying the same thing. And then Will showed us the impact of making multiple calls. Here are multiple calls. He called Bernie, Chuck, and Liz Warren all on the same day, and all three of their secretaries confirmed a stimulus check provision included in there. And then later in the conversation, Liz Warren's office confirming $14 to $2,000, 6 to 12 months. Lorica calling to Bob Casey's office and advocating, and Bob Casey's saying that they're doing that stimulus check and they're currently in the negotiations. By that point, nearly 1,000 viewers of this channel had been confirmed the inclusion of a monthly stimulus check when they advocated. Advocacy is what's important. Coons, Sanders, Warren, Schumer, Casey, Wyden got your advocacy and said yes, they're doing it. Then I said go over to the House side. AOC, Omar, Jalapal, advocate with them. And you did. And they responded the same way. Janice writing, I called Jalapal's and they did say yes, stimulus check is getting in there. She wrote the same thing about Omar as well. There's Mark, who got Pelosi's office on the phone. And Pelosi's staff told me, Mark writes, that would be $4,000, $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter, 6 to 12 months. The messages continue to come in and day out throughout the weeks to come. And this last week, the same messages as well. Wednesday, Donnie's wife being told by Chuck Schumer's office, it's going in there. 3 people from advocating to Bernie Sanders' office getting the same confirmation, AOC, Omar, and Jayalapal. And there you go. That's the face of advocacy. I want you to advocate. Now let's go over all the dramatics of what happened with the president by protecting your recon not once, twice, but 3 times with 3 major victories this last week, and what's happening with your recon this coming week. Let's back up to July. In July, we had only one bill. It had recon and roads and bridges in there together. But the moderate Democrats told the president, it's too big, you need to do something. So the president made a concession to the moderate Democrats. I'll split it into 2 bills. Recon 1 bill, roads and bridges, aka infrastructure, aka bipartisan, a 2nd bill. But the deal is both of the bills will progress together, both of the bills will be voted at the same time, and both of the bills must land on my desk in the Oval Office at the same time for me to sign. I won't do one without the other. That was the deal. Then, shortly thereafter, as Liz Warren said this last week, the moderate Democrats broke the deal. What did they do? The Goth gang, led by Gothenheimer, the New Jersey Democrat, ambushed Nancy Pelosi to get her to agree to call the vote on the roads and bridges this last Thursday by itself, not the agreement that everyone had made. So, what happened this week? We started the week with the moderate Democrats not keeping their promise with the debt ceiling limit and making Pelosi very angry publicly. Number 2. Then, by the middle of the week, the moderate Democrats started coming out against the progressives in personal attacks, like Gothenheimer saying the moderate Democrats are sort of a small group. They don't have any input. They're not following the president's guidance. Awful words. Well, going into Wednesday, then, the progressives were starting to become aligned to get ready to vote down the roads and bridges. And then came the incredible letter from that guy from West Virginia. The senator from West Virginia released a document, and the document then he said was to suggest that Chuck Schumer had agreed to a different recon than we actually have. Chuck Schumer fired back, saying that basically you're trying to paint him as a liar and was not sitting pretty with the situation. By Wednesday night, the progressives had said that we have 60 progressives ready in the House to vote down against the roads and bridges. Pelosi's margin of error in the House is 3. There's 3 more Democrats than House members. If you lose those 3 Democrats, a bill doesn't pass. She was set to lose 60. Then, Thursday morning, the night of the vote, the moderate Democrats published another article saying negative things about the recon. The progressives come out and say, we had 60 votes against the roads and bridges before, now we'll likely have more. 9 o'clock comes and we're ready for the vote on the roads and bridges. It doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Progressives have a last minute meeting and they hold the position, get ready to vote it down. Then, out of nowhere, the president calls Brian Deasy to have a meeting in Chuck Schumer's office with Kristen Sinema and Bernie Sanders. The purpose, to have the progressives change course and vote in favor of the roads and bridges. No happens. Immediately, Jalapal, as the chair of the progressives, tells the progressives, hold your position, do not change unless the moderates vote in favor of the recon. 10 o'clock approaches, we're ready for the vote, and it doesn't happen. 10:10. The second in command in the House, which is Steny Hoyer, says, go home. Recon, the roads and bridges will not be voted this Thursday night. Big win. Number one win. Roads and bridges blocked, not voted on. Friday morning, I go on camera, I say, I don't see the roads and bridges being voted on today. The progressives are in the same position they were from the night before. I don't see it happening. And it doesn't go for a vote. In fact, the House does not go back in session. Win number 2 for the progressives and your recon. Then, out of nowhere, the president says, come on in. I'm having meetings first with the House Democrats and then with the Senate Democrats. And what does he say? Win number 3. No vote is happening on my watch on the roads and bridges ever until you agree upon the recon. Win number 3. In a week in which I said, I don't care if the roads and bridges passes, but if the roads and bridges don't pass, it's a win. 3 wins. So here are some of the comments the president said during the meeting. I'll go over what comments he said, the reaction to his comments, and then my insight as well, and what he said Saturday. The president said, I wrote the damn bill. Even a small bill can make historic investments. I know a little bit about the legislative process. He said that the progressives will block the infrastructure, and it will not pass until and he will not call for a vote until there's complete agreement to call for a vote. He said the progressives need to get the moderates on board for the recon. Here was the reaction. Henry Cooler, a Democrat from Texas, basically said both sides were a little bit uneasy. And what did the president say Saturday? Saturday on the White House South Lawn. You may have seen on broadcast media, Calendar Colleen was there with Wendy and Will Wen. Some reporter shouted the word when 3 times. When. I just couldn't believe it. And he said, stop asking me when. Oh, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for watching my videos. He said, stop asking me when. I don't know when, and we're going to set no deadline, no time frame. We're going to get it done, and we're going to get it done right. Now, let me go over Sheila Jackson, who is the vice chair of the Progressive Caucus, second in line to Jalapal, who passed your recon, by the way. She was the chief rider on the recon. She spoke on broadcast media Saturday to explain what's happening this week. It's very, very important to listen to this part of the video. So it explains how you modify a recon. In the recon, as she explains, it has different programs. Weatherizing your home is a program. $4,000 a year to care for the elderly is a program. 15% for an electric bike is a program. She said 100% the progressives are not taking out any programs. So they're not removing any programs. What they will do is that the progressives and the Democrats have these very, very brilliant federal employee staffers that know mathematics, that sit back and calculate, if I modify a tax code this way, then for corporations and billionaires, then I can get this type of money in this way as opposed to that way. She said these brilliant staffers will be modifying the pay-fors, the tax codes, how to pay for these monies for these programs. We're not taking out any programs. We're just going to figure out changes to the tax codes on how to pay for the programs. Fascinating. She referred to each program as sort of a loaf of bread. She said, we're not doing a half a loaf of bread. We're doing the full loaf of bread. We have the loaf of bread now. We're still doing the loaf of bread. It's just how we're paying for the loaf of bread we're going to change. Fascinating way to explain the situation so you understand. So nothing that's covered in those clusters, nothing that's covered with those IRS stimulus checks that they represent are being added in there is being taken out during negotiations. Just how to pay for it is being changed. Now, let me turn to Bernie Sanders' approach to the situation so you understand this from July. This is very, very important. In July, Bernie Sanders went into those negotiations for the recon, and he asked for $7 trillion. He came out with $3.5 trillion, which is exactly half, ecstatic, saying, I got every program I wanted 100% paid for exactly the way I wanted it. But wait a second, 3.5 is half of 7. How is it exactly 100% paid for? It's half, it's shorter the amount of time. So instead of, for example, I'm using an example, instead of 20 years at a 15% bike program, it's 10 years at a 15% bike program. Here's an example. Let's say you want to go buy that bike. It's 15% now, next year, anytime over the next 10 years. Bernie went to the meetings asking to be able to do it over 20 years. So if you want to go buy a new bike in 18 years from now, it's still 15%. He did not go into the meetings asking for 30% for the bike and agreed to 15% for the bike. He did not go into the meetings asking for $8,000 a year to care for the elderly and agree to $4,000. He just changed the time horizon from, example, 20 years to 10 years. So all the sums of money that we're talking about now and over the next 10 years is still the same amount of money. It's just the horizon he narrowed, and that's how he got from 7 to 3.5. Not changing the programs, not taking out the programs, and not changing the amount of the items in the programs, changing how many years the programs run. That's how the numbers work. All right, let's turn over to third stimulus with the time remaining. Here we go. An additional cash infusion of $13 billion is going out to your cities, counties, and states for rent, utilities, and food. I'm going to go over all this big money and the big money and how to get a fridge. We all love fridges. So get that pen, paper, cell phone ready. Let's go over all the details. First, I'm going to show you 6 places to reach out to all 6. Next, listen to the keywords I say in this video. And third, get ready for those nonprofits because they're paying money. Okay, here we go. You can reach out to your city hall, your city house authority, your county hall, your county house authority, your state hall, and your state house authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, rent or mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. Now, I want you as a member to open up the part of the newsletter that has the link to Treasury, that Treasury letter. That Treasury letter is very important so that you know what the money is for. When you call, red, blue, rich, poor, every state will have this money, but it won't be there indefinitely. It may not be there today, maybe there's tomorrow. So when you call up, I want you to know what it is so you can ask about it. If they don't have it, say to be on waiting list or ask to be able to call them back the next day. Next, get money from as many of your utility companies you have. So if you have 5 utilities, get it from 5 utility companies. And then finally, the nonprofits. Wow, this is a big one. The nonprofits pay for the same items that are in third stimulus, but they do different eligibility. So if you have an eligibility issue from your city or county that you're encountering, then lean on the nonprofits. Here are the 5 nonprofits: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. The next thing to remember is that the nonprofits pay for items that are not in third stimulus. For example, they pay for homeless people into shelter sometimes. They sometimes pay for clothing. And sometimes they pay for small appliances. Viewers of this channel in the last week, 2 have gotten refrigerators. 1 got a new furnace and her window repaired as well. Here again are the 5 nonprofits: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, St. Vincent de Paul. Remember, Salvation Army is also helping for holiday gifts right now in October. Don't wait till November. They don't do it then. They do it in October. All right, let's turn to SNAP. SNAP is money for food. You get it from Department of Agriculture. And yes, your benefits are going up an average of 25% lifetime automatically starting this month. I know you may have gotten that letter in September saying your benefits are going down. Well, there's another letter, and your benefits are going up starting this month. Then the unemployment benefits. First, your unemployment benefits overpaid due to computer error from your state, they're landing. Reach out to your state for tracking information. Viewers have gotten about anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 for this money. Then finally, the refund check from your IRS taxes you paid on the unemployment benefits. Average payment is $1,200 to $2,000. Viewers like Margaret, Todd, and Mike have gotten those sums of money. You can go to irs.gov to track it, and there you go. Finally, if you got in any sums of money, jump in the live chat and post your success stories. Rent, utilities, food, or internet, any of these items, you inspire other people. And lastly, if you haven't become a member, what are you doing? The link is under the video. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Members are delivered the newsletter from me, written by me, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, delivered by the Lalate alerts, which are totally free to sign up for, and the YouTube alerts. The newsletter features all the big money on the first, second, and third stimulus for you to get. That's how Mark got 51,000, Johnny 80,000, Lorraine, she's at 105, and now she's going to 110,000. Viewers are getting big sums of money daily from this channel. These are the monies in there for you to get, and I'll also detail everything set up for 4th and 5th when that happens as well. Make yourself 3 promises this week. Number 1, promise yourself that you will advocate. Pick up the phone and advocate for the inclusion of stimulus. Before you make the phone call, think about what your personal story is. Everyone has a unique story. Think about what you're going to say before you call. Why does my family need it, my church, my town? I need to personalize the story because everyone has a unique story when you advocate. And make the phone call to as many places as you can. Sanders, Schumer, Casey, Warren, Liz Warren, and over on the House side, AOC, Omar, Jalopal, Sheila Jackson, Nancy Pelosi. Make as many phone calls as you can advocating for that inclusion of that monthly stimulus check. Number 2, get as much money as you can for rent and utilities as far into 2022 as possible, because I don't think that a lot of this money for rent will be continued under fourth stimulus. Number 3, lean on the nonprofits. It was 80 degrees yesterday in LA. It was just hot. It's still mild, warm in some parts of the country. The nonprofits are not getting that many calls at the moment because it's not winter yet. The turnaround times have been really great. Viewers have reported that they've gotten fast turnaround times for rent from St. Vincent de Paul and United Way. Make those phone calls now because they're helping people very quickly now. Don't wait till it gets cold when the heating oil bills need to be paid and people start calling. Call now when it's still mild out and get as much money. And with that, we go into the final minutes of this video with a big recap and what you should anticipate this week. What you should anticipate this week is a battleground. House, Senate, moderates, and progressives. The progressives are protecting your recon. The progressives were told the price tag and given the bill. As the president says, I wrote the bill. And the president told them the price tag, $3.5 trillion. They protected it. They did everything they were told to do. They protected it all week. They kept their promises. They kept it professional. They kept their promise that the 2 bodies of legislation would go at the same time. The moderates, not at all. Moderates did not keep their promise. First, the moderates wanted concessions, split the items into 2 bills. They got the concession. Then once they got the concession, the moderates didn't keep their promise. They tried to run with the football over the finish line with just the roads and bridges. The president stopped them in their feet, not once, twice, but 3 times, telling Pelosi, don't call the vote on Thursday, telling Pelosi on Friday, don't call the vote, and finally telling the moderates themselves, I'm not calling the vote at all. Don't keep on asking for the vote to be called because you're not keeping your promise. The moderates also have trash talked the progressives. The president likely will have to take a harder hand with the moderates this coming week. But for now, the progressives see their big potential win. You, this channel, Lalate, they now understand that moderate Democrats need to be shown how Americans want stimulus. You want stimulus. And they are now logging your phone calls, your emails, and your messages to show the moderate Democrats, here, this is what LA's viewers are saying. You need to listen. They're from your states. They're from red states. They're from blue states. They're Republicans. They're Democrats. They're saying they need it. Here are the messages of incredible advocacy, very different messages, very personalized, professional, respectful, showing them what they need. And hopefully some of the messages are also from West Virginia and Arizona as well. And with that, join me next as we go into Afternoons Lalate, the 1 o'clock show coming up next. Then a new Afternoons Lalate at 3 o'clock. It's a big show, so don't miss it coming up later today. And then we have Evenings LA tonight, later tonight at 5 o'clock. We got shows at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11:30. So stay with those shows. They're very helpful shows that show you the importance of how to follow stimulus when it comes out and how stimulus is delivered different if you are banking a big bank versus a credit union versus Direct Express. Very, very helpful shows across the board. And thank you for all your incredible love and support. Let's keep on pushing. Let's keep on advocating. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers on YouTube record. I want you part of this historic channel as we continue to make history, and you need to keep on pushing. We are being heard, and they are now using your messages to help get that recon over the finish line. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 net likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with Lalate for more.